All right, what did you think of that Pixar short, Pearl? I actually think it's a very clever illustration of differences in the workplace. And really, to me, the bottom line message of that short is that diversity is strength. We can think of diversity as strength. We don't have to all be the same. So here's some practical kind of questions I want you to think through, and then I'm going to pose our thought questions, which will be on our discussion board this week. What does assimilation versus integration look like for your team? So an assimilation process is where those in the minority, as far as numbers, adapt to the dominant culture. Examples of this: an assimilated workplace may pretend to be colorblind. New hires might be treated fairly and not fear discrimination, but they might feel pressure to go along with the rest of the group, even if they have different ideas. Or their role might be limited, keeping them from meeting their full potential. They may not have as much say in what happens in the workplace or in processes as maybe they could or should. Now, integration, on the other hand, is a process where different perspectives can effectively combine. New hires can shape the culture, the values, and the future of the organization. And a truly integrated workplace is very hard to achieve, but it's more successful in the long run. So how can your organization go beyond meeting diversity quotas and making sure that every new hire feels that they're truly integrated, they truly belong? True inclusiveness is an ongoing project, and it starts with asking some hard questions sometimes. So one of the questions you can ask is, who's making decisions? Is it a handful of people that seem to determine everything? In that case, you might want to look at your organization's leadership structure. Are others encouraged to speak up when they have an opinion? And do they have a way to do so? Are their perspectives given a fair consideration? And during all staff meetings or small group meetings, does everyone get a chance to think? And the other question you might want to ask about this is, are people encouraged to step up? So, those who tend to talk a lot can try to maybe step back a little bit. Those who rarely speak can have an opportunity to step up. Or you could institute a no interruption rule where everyone gets to finish what they're saying. So again, those, assimilation versus integration, these are some questions that you can ask. In what ways do you make space for everyone? So what do work-related social events look like? Think about, does social bonding take place? Are there any reasons why someone might not feel welcome? For example, is accessibility or childcare a setback to attendance? If events involve alcohol, do non-drinkers feel comfortable there? Or are there non-mandatory events that people are still expected to participate in? Is there kind of a subtext of, well, you don't have to come, but if you'd like to get, more FaceTime with the bosses or get an opportunity for promotion, you really should be there. So is that really making space for everyone? Is that giving everyone a level playing field? What are you communicating with your language? What's the public face of your organization? These are all, again, things you can think about as a leader of a team, or as a leader of an organization, or a leader of a small group, leader of a unit, that help you to kind of process through, are we looking at diversity as strength, or are we limiting opportunities and shutting people out of opportunities to grow and to fully feel included and integrated into the workplace? And ideally, an integrated workplace is an ongoing project with constant room for growth. And again, that's why I like the idea of Pearl. At the end, Pearl is welcoming that new coworker into the workplace and making it so that that coworker is feeling more included, and we imagine things continue to get better and better for their organization. So this week on our thought questions, I want you to, again, reflect on Pearl and write a few notes. How do you think Pearl's HR manager could have better set her up for success? Why do you think it's often incumbent or the responsibility of the only person to be the one to build the bridge? What does assimilation versus integration look like for your team? And you can use some of the examples that I gave in the last slide. And then in what ways do you make space for everyone, even if you're not a team leader? What are things that you do that show that you value diversity as strength? Again, helping folks bring their whole selves of their relevant background factors into your organization. So post your thoughts, share as a team leader how you could create a more welcoming environment, and then respond to 2 classmates by Sunday. Here's another practice that I would like you to do this week is to reflect on your values. And what you're actually going to do is choose some of your top values from a list, or you can make up your own, and email that to me because I would love to share it with the entire cohort. I want to start with this quote here. Roy E. Disney, the brother of Walt Disney, said this phrase, and it's resonated in my mind over so many years, that when your values are clear to you, making decisions becomes easier. Think about that. Values are a very important predictor of behavior. Attitudes and values are very closely linked. And people's values as a predictor of behavior, when we understand what people value, we can also understand or imagine what they would do, or understand why they do what they do, or why they do things the way they do them. So, whoa, this is a dizzying amount of values. I'm also going to place a PDF on a link on our Canvas for you to look through a full list of values. What I would love for you to do is to take some time and circle through which values resonate with you. If you had to say, okay, there's 5 to 8 of these that are really encompass who I am and what I'm about, what would they be? And you can start by kind of putting a mark next to all of them that sound like you, and then narrowing down 5 to 8, whichever way you would like to do that. But for me, I would say things like intellectual curiosity, certainly a value of mine. I think that's why I've been went through so much school, right? Got a PhD. I just kept wanting to learn. And why I will never leave college now, because I teach college. I want to keep learning alongside you. Humor is another huge value of mine. I love to laugh. I love to make others laugh. And I think that most situations, when appropriate, can be made better by humor. So think through these, come up with 5 to 8, and when you have, or 5 to 7, I guess I said 5 to 8 is fine. Message them to me. You can message me through Canvas or send me an email, because what I'd love to do for the next lecture is to actually do a slide that's got all of our class members, our cohort members on it, and then your values, so you can learn a little bit more about each other. It also helps me as your professor to know what it is that you value, what's important to you, what you're bringing into our classroom community. All right, so now we've gotten to the point of our weekly challenge and our reflection. And since another one of the relevant background factors we're looking at this week is health, I include emotional and mental health in that list. What is something you could do to boost the emotional health of your own team? And when I say team, I'm talking about your final project team. How are you going to engage other group members positively? What's a way that you can boost the emotional health of someone by encouraging them? Remember, we talked about Viktor Frankl calling people up rather than out, seeing the inherent dignity and worth in one another, that we are made in the image of God, that we're fearfully and wonderfully made. How do we encourage someone in our own team this week? That's your weekly challenge and something for you to reflect on. On Canvas, these will be your assignments, the usual kinds of things that we expect: our reading assignment, our reading journal, the thought question discussion board, your reflection question, and then your final project prospectus. Again, remember that's due on Sunday. If your team has any questions while you're meeting or after you've met, and you want to reach out to me, please do that. If you're all meeting virtually and you'd like to invite me to your virtual meeting, feel free to do that too. I've got time. I would love to have a chat with you all and see where you're at with your project. And as always, I'm here for support. I'm excited to continue to dive into this content with you, and we'll see you online. Have a great week.